Hello, I'm IBX Toycat and welcome back to the Minecraft video. And the question you should be asking when I say Minecraft video is which version do you mean? Because there are two distinct games called Minecraft. They're both developed by Mojang and Microsoft, of course, but one is the Bedrock Edition, which is programmed in an entirely different language for an entirely different set of platforms. And although both Java and Bedrock try to be the same Minecraft game, the truth is there are over 1,200 differences that stop them from being in parity with one another, in equality of one another, and some of these differences are small and cosmetic, like the menu screen being different, but some of them are much bigger and fundamentally alter your gameplay experience. And so Prowl, a good friend of mine who is very interested in parity, has highlighted 50 of his favourite for our viewing pleasure, and we'll be going through that today. So big thank you to Prowl. Make sure to check out his channel, I'll link it down below. He is the guy to check out, not only for parity, but a lot of other Bedrock technical things. He really enjoys going through these, and we both share this opinion that why is Minecraft a game which they deliberately try to say is the same on both platforms? Why does the game still have so many differences that really will alter your experience? Some in funny ways, like, oh yeah, if I try to trade with this villager on, Bedrock, obviously he can't trade with me, he just won't let me, right-click on him or left trigger, but if I do the exact same thing on Java, he shakes his head saying no. It's very small, it's just cosmetic, but if it's the same game, which one is the real one, and why does he only do it on one platform? It's very, very strange stuff like that, and in case you're curious, just to help you follow these videos, every single time that you see either a character in the top left or coordinates, we're playing Bedrock. 99% of this video is recorded on Bedrock. We'll also put Java in the top left in big red letters, so you know when we're playing the Java edition to show you the differences between the two versions, just like this next one here, because did you know Bedrock Villagers won't compost extra crops? So if we give, say, 64 potatoes, wow, this is so many potatoes. You have no use for all these potatoes, am I right? But as you can see, he's looking at all these potatoes, he's taking them, he's bobbing for them, and then he still refuses to give those excess potatoes to the composter. Whereas on Java, as you can see, they actually are very useful villagers. It is the second piece of behavior that is different on Java, and in my opinion, just better. I mean, also, when you defeat a raid, they throw stuff in the air. That literally featured in a Minecraft trailer, and it's only available on the Java edition. But it's not just things that work, better on Java than on Bedrock. There are things that work the other way, for example. Actually, no, this is a bad example of that, because on Java, Golems show when they've taken damage because they're slightly cracked. As you can see, I'm going to punch this Iron Golem as much as I want, and he's going to... Oh, he's dead all the way. Oops. And as you can see, he didn't look damaged in the slightest. Look at this Java Golem, though, and you can tell the damage is there. Also, as you can see, we can heal the Java Golem, and we can't heal this Bedrock Golem because he doesn't exist, but you can't use Iron to heal up a Golem on Bedrock at all. That's just another weird feature, in my opinion. Another weird one that is definitely on the Bedrock is just missing a feature vibe is that on Bedrock, in fact in every Minecraft version, you can walk under 2 block gaps. That is the height of the gap you can fit through. However, if you're on Java, you can crouch under 1.5 block gaps. However, on Bedrock, you're like 1.65 blocks tall, and so you can't fit under them, which means this exact same build, depending on which version you build it on, either does or doesn't work, which is very strange. But you know what? This seems like a lot of ragging on, the Bedrock Edition for being worse. There are a lot of ways in which Java is just missing out on features, such as when you kill a fish on Bedrock, there is a chance for it to drop bones. So here is a tank full of cod, inferior fish, as we all know. But if we punch the tank full of fish, you're going to see how some of them drop just cod, but some of them will also drop, in addition to that cod, some lovely... Also, by the way, the very combat system we're using here, some of them will also drop some lovely bones instead of bone meal. Bone, if you don't know, will craft straight into bone meal at a ratio of 3:1, meaning you get 3 times as much bone meal from fish on Bedrock compared to Java. Why is that? And in case that doesn't sell you as to why you should play the Bedrock Edition, let's go to the 6th feature here, which is also underwater related. I'm sorry, I had to skip ahead, Prowl, because we need to talk about size salmon. Get this right, there is 3 sizes of salmon in Bedrock. There is the medium salmon you get on Java, there's the small salmon down here, and then there is big salmon. Look at the size of this salmon and tell me that you can go back to playing Java and that you can live with yourself in a version that doesn't have 2 giant salmon in a tank basically making out with each other. What more do you need in the world? I mean, probably like all the bare necessities, but it's very, very interesting regardless. I love big salmon because it's a small variety change that they just should have made on the Java edition. Again, every Java player I've ever heard of is crying out right now, oh my god, why are the salmon one size? Literally unplayable, they're throwing away their PCs, it's terrible, and only Mojang can fix this by giving us big salmon over here on the, over there on the Java edition, I should say. I mean, look at the size of this salmon tail. Don't you want that flapping in your face? Speaking of things flapping in your face, here is another one for you. As you can see, if we make a baby villager, which, again, it's kind of hard to do naturally. There we go. The baby villager has a very big head over here on the Bedrock edition, whereas on Java, they have a much smaller head. I mean, clearly, this is a fundamental difference because it means that the very evolution of the only humanoid species in Minecraft, if we can call them humanoid. I say they look more like Squidward, but the only humanoid species in Minecraft has a very different path. Why is it so visually different? If they have the same graphical designers sharing across both, how did this happen, and how did this just get left behind the scenes for so long? Speaking of things left behind the scenes, here is another weird one. Bedrock, villagers, if you have in baby, which we'll do right there. As you can see, Bedrock villagers will just kind of run around doing nothing. On the Java edition, however, the villagers will jump on beds, and I think that is a lot of fun. Speaking of things that are a lot of fun, yeah, we're back to big salmon. Yeah, look at the size of this salmon. It's beautiful, isn't it? So the 9th parity difference here is one that really shows to me why it is important to make sure these versions are the same, because a lot of people will tell me this is possible on Bedrock just because they watched the video on the Java version, and they might even play Bedrock themselves and be curious as to why it works in the videos but not in real life. So if you have a trapdoor that you close on top of yourself, on the Bedrock edition, it ends up halfway through your body, you're basically dead, oh, life is over. But on the Java edition, it forces you to crouch. There is a brand new whole crouching mechanic that exists on Java, kind of by accident, whereas on Bedrock, you just exist inside the block, which means you can jump and land on top of it. I think that's very interesting by itself, but this is a fundamental difference in how you interact with the game, because again, crawling is very, very different, and why is that the case? I mean, I don't know. You get chopped in half on Bedrock, whereas you get to crawl on Java. Big gain for Java. I'd actually say, again, in general, the kind of vibe here is that lots of features do have this kind of like Java preference almost, it seems like. Some features are really interesting on like for instance, here's a feature that's really, really interesting on the Bedrock edition. Glow squid, squid, and dolphins, if I spawn in enough, you'll start to see right here, have baby variants. Okay, you can't see any right now. The dolphin, okay, here's a dolphin, here's another dolphin. I'll just keep spawning. Okay, here you can see baby dolphin. It's adorable. Don't wait around because he will die. Glow squids as well. They are a brand new feature just added in 1.17, a very good update and a very good mob I'm glad we voted for. You can find baby glow squids. Why can't you find baby glow squids on Java? Because different game I don't even understand fully. So yeah, baby dolphins, baby squid, and baby glow squid. It's all very confusingly only available on Bedrock. You'd figure it wouldn't be that hard to add to Java, but yet they have not done it. Speaking of things that seem very easy but just aren't possible, placing a lantern underneath a trapdoor is, it looks like this on Bedrock. Do you see how nothing's happening? Whereas it looks like this on Java. See how something is happening. Very different, very confusing. And, just like, you're different and confusing. Why are you watching a video about differences between two Minecraft versions? You don't even play both the versions. Why are you so curious? Except you should be curious, because one of the... I got really into speedrunning in Minecraft Bedrock, and something that people would consistently comment below my videos was stop waterlogging using sand, just place a door underwater. Doors can't be waterlogged, except they learned that from playing Java. Java speedrunners can do that. Bedrock speedrunners cannot. The very competitive nature of the game will change that way, and it's not just doors, by the way. This entire 12 parity difference is that a lot of different blocks can be waterlogged fully on Bedrock. Buttons, pistons, anvils, doors, even azalea trees, which I'm not sure I fully understand. All of these blocks can be waterlogged on Bedrock. They can't be on Java. This has existed for almost 3 years now, and it's just confusing to me. Like, it seems like an easy enough change to make. It doesn't even make sense as to why pistons can be waterlogged, and yet they can be. Well, again, only if you play the version of Minecraft that says Minecraft. Oh, if you press pause now, it doesn't say Minecraft anymore. That's interesting. Only if you play the version of Minecraft that says Minecraft at the top. Speaking of things you can only see on Minecraft, if you play the version that says Java Edition below it, then when you press this button, this is what happens. Wow, the villager has some armor equipped, air quotes on him. If you do the same on Bedrock, he just kind of has some boots floating around with him. Let's show the chest plate. Wait, maybe the helmet works, but... Oh, no, it doesn't work there either. What about the leggings? Oh, no. It's just a villager standing very awkwardly, staring at his armor instead of wearing it. Do you want that in your life? I don't know if you do, but you shouldn't. Just like you shouldn't want the Java equivalent of this. Actually, this is one of those taste-based ones, because if you have a iron golem that you'd like to spawn, on the Java edition, you need a carved pumpkin or a jack-o'-lantern. On Bedrock, you can just use this pumpkin block right here, and even if it does, again, this is what the pumpkin looks like, there is nothing carved into him, it's not even a face, but a pumpkin plus 4 iron makes a golem over here on Bedrock. A golem that I'd like to remind you, even if we damage a whole ton, we cannot see the damage and we cannot give our ingots to heal. As you can see, it's doing nothing. Even if we throw the ingot at him and we're like, look, this is you, you're literally made of this, he just kind of stares at you funny. I don't deserve this, man, I'm trying to help you. Speaking of people I'm trying to help, one of the quirky differences is elytras as a whole. There are so many changes in how they work between Bedrock and Java, but if you say, have an elytra while you're in creative mode. Wow, did you notice we're in creative mode? You might not have. You can fly the elytra while you're hitting the ground. Like, as you can see, I'm flying and I'm hitting the ground, and it's fine. And it's very interesting that you can effectively do this. On Java Edition, it forces you to stop. Also, if you hold A or space or whatever your jump button is while you are flying an elytra in creative, because it's creative mode, it doesn't matter if you can cheat the elytra, air quotes, so you just float into the sky at a much faster rate than you can naturally. It's very, very cool. Here's me floating in creative, as you can see, much, much, much slower. And yeah, it's pretty cool in my opinion. By the way, this is Prowl's long-term survival world that he built this into. It looks pretty cool, right? Just wanted to take a moment, thank him for showing all these off and showing us his 50 favorite features, of which, 50 favorite parity features, I should say, of which we're only at number 16 because there's 34 more to go. If I know maths, and I'm pretty sure I do know maths. Okay, we've skipped ahead here. So the next change here is one that benefits Bedrock, but really just leaves you into confusion as to which one should be the real feature, because if you have a bed, let's say a red bed, we all know those are the superior beds, but if you take a bed and then you take, say, a blue dye, you can make that bed into a blue bed by taking your red bed and a blue dye. On the Java edition, what you have to do is you have to pick your color of bed, and then you are stuck with it unless you want to dye it back to white. There's a whole thing, but you can just dye any bed, any color, which means there's an interesting difference in that if you have these three resources right here, you have white wool, you have dye, and you have oak wood planks, it actually makes the most sense not to dye the wool like you would on Java Edition, but instead you make the entire bed. Okay, it's going to make accidentally this into the bed. We'll place that back on the ground. So you make the white bed, and then you make that white bed into a green bed, and instead of using 3 green dye to make 3 green wool, you use just 1 dye for the entire bed. So I guess you could argue from that the Java system is more logical, if nothing else, but the Bedrock system is more convenient. What matters more, logic or convenience? Is Minecraft meant to be a perfectly logical game? If so, explain this, explain the Ender Dragon, explain... You know, you got a lot to explain for, is my point there. Just like this button on the fence. Should there be buttons enableable on fences? I mean, it does just about fit, but should you be able to press those buttons? I mean, does that make any sense? If you're on Java, they've decided, no, of course it doesn't make sense. If you're on Bedrock, you can do it anyway. So this little, I think this actually looks pretty cool, but it's only possible on the Bedrock edition, not on that one that's made from that weird coffee bean. And so why is that the case? I don't know for sure, I just know I think it's pretty darn cool. Speaking of things that are pretty cool, you can place a lot of things on pistons only on Bedrock, which you can't place on Java. Want to place a button on there? Only on Bedrock. Want to place a lever on there? Only on Bedrock. Even redstone on the top, which by the way, I really like it. I think it's handy for making redstone, but you've got to admit, it's very broken when you can have redstone that kind of just sits on top of nothing right here. So yeah, which is correct? The more convenient for players, or the more logical answer that yeah, you shouldn't be able to have redstone on top of a piston, because the redstone isn't activated when the piston is, it's in the block above the piston effectively. It's very strange stuff, but again, Java then has a feature which makes no sense, but players love it. Every time they even hint they're going to remove it, there is a revolt on the Java edition, because Bedrock does not have diagonal quasi-connectivity. Java does have quasi-connectivity. So this is what this looks like on Bedrock. It's a redstone block diagonal to a piston. The piston's not active. Here's what it looks like on Java. The piston does in fact activate. Why is that the case? Because, you know, I don't know. Why is anything the case? You know, is reality real, or is it all just a simulation? If it was a simulation, how would we be able to tell? If we do live in a simulation, maybe the society which is simulating us itself exists in a simulation. Doesn't that seem likely that if it's possible to simulate a world that looks entirely like, like a real society, that it could go multiple layers up? What if the whole universe is just simulations all the way down? And if that's the case, that might explain why you can have 64 cakes in a stack over here on the Bedrock Edition, but you can only have 1 cake to a stack on the Java Edition. Also, it's 16 on Console Edition, so this is even more confusing. Why is that the case? I don't understand. What is the decision that makes cakes stackable here on Bedrock but not Java? In fact, why are some items not stackable on Java at all? We all agree that you shouldn't be able to stack swords, right? Because they're like an item you would use individually. Makes no sense to stack it. And we all agree you should stack blocks like wood, but why do we draw the line at things like ender pearls being stackable up to 16? What is the logic there? Why can cakes not stack on Java? What is the logic? It doesn't make any sense, just like dispensers will place armor stands on Java Edition, but they won't on Bedrock. Here's what this looks like on Java, and here is the much sadder version on Bedrock. See, even the armor stand is confused about the cake. The dispenser just needs to know all the answers. Also, look how adorable the dispenser looks with a little button on the side. It looks like he's got a little headphone piece in. Dispensers are the cutest block. Change my mind. Speaking of things you should change my mind about, I think that if you're on fire, you should act as a fire source. On Java, this isn't true. If you light yourself on fire and run into a campfire, nothing happens. On Bedrock, I'm going to be on fire right now because, I'm just doing that well, and I run into a campfire and it lights. And that is so interesting to me that they would have a difference there whatsoever. Why is that the case? I don't know fully, but I'm going to eat some cake to make it all make sense, because I can stack a whole ton of cakes, which makes it, by the way, Bedrock's most efficient food and Java's least efficient food for a single stack. Because, you know what, cakes? Why have I got 60 of them here? Why is that 60 times as many? Speaking of things that are 60 times as many, this is 60 times as many is confusing because it's clearly a technical error or a bug or just a misimplementation that has been left in Bedrock for a very long time, because if you want to place a bed, you have to have 2 solid blocks below it. However, if you break those 2 solid blocks below it, you can then obviously have a floating bed. On Java, you can just place the bed floating above nothing, but on Bedrock, we tried that exact same thing, and as you can see, we can't. We have to place the bed on the ground right over here, and then remove the blocks below that too. It just seems like it's extra steps to achieve what is effectively, the same thing. And wait, can we? No, you can't. You can't even break below it. You gotta like break blocks around it. It's a whole pain, a pain that is kind of made up for by the fact that armor stands know how to have fun on Bedrock. As you can see, not only do we have the unique exclusive dabbing armor stand, but also redstone plus armor stand equals dancing. Isn't this great? Isn't this adorable? What happens on Java when you do this exact same thing? Sadness. Sadness is what happens. What you want in your life is dancing bedrocks that know how to have fun. I totally agree with you there, Prowl. Speaking of things I agree with, the 26th feature is that is different between versions, is that Bedrock Edition rails always place facing north/south when they're alone, i.e. not part of a great system. On the Java Edition, rails place in the direction you are facing. So if I break this with my fist, then place it over here, it doesn't care. If I break it with my fist and place it this way, it doesn't care. It faces north/south, i.e. not the way the clouds are going, and that is a big tragedy unless you want to place north-south, which means you can actually work out, like, if there's no darkness, there's no light around you, and you have no way of telling where east, west, north, south are, you can tell by placing a rail. Is that useful? Not by itself, actually. Speaking of things that aren't useful, berry bushes can be placed on farmland on Java. Allow me to show you that right now. But if we try to do the exact same thing on Bedrock, then, I guess I'm just going to eat these berries, am I? We have to place them on grass, dirt, or other blocks like that, and it's a big tragedy. It's almost as big of a tragedy as Java only being able to stack 1 cake at a time. What if you want to cake yourself away from someone? You just can't do it if you're playing the Java Edition. Why is that the case? I don't understand. Speaking of things I don't understand fully, Bedrock Farmland can have many blocks placed on it that Java cannot. Because even though Java can have the berry bushes on the farmland, they can't have buttons, or rails, or torches, and it's really weird because all of these blocks clearly float the tiniest bit above. In fact, I might be able to show you that clearer if we go down here. You can see there's like a distinct gap between these blocks and the thing above it. Wait, I've used the cake so we can actually see. Look at that, there is a button, and then there is a distinct gap between the farmland below it. Why is that the case? because Minecraft is weird and doesn't make sense. Speaking of things that don't make sense, if you crouch and try to place a chest next to another single chest, do you know what you get on Bedrock? You get a double chest. What happens when you do it on Java? You get two single chests next to each other. This is actually one that would be objectively better, in my opinion, if they just made it work that way. Because now if you want single chests on Bedrock, you have to go through a whole bunch of effort by like, okay, we place a chest there, we place a chest there, then we remove that one, and then it's a lot more work, and it doesn't work as consistently. And again, it's just a feature that is slightly better on Java for no good reason than besides they programmed it differently and they never fixed the mistake. Because again, Java and Bedrock have very different roots, and those different roots lead to a lot of strange things, like fishing even, a very old mechanic. On Java, the inventory model changes when casting the rod. On Bedrock, it stays the same. As you can see, it looks like this. It's, I actually don't know what the Java version looks like. We're all looking at it together for the first time. Wow, that sure is different, am I right? Speaking of things that are different, the next one we've got going on right here. Okay, I've got a confession for everyone. You know, all of the Java clips are recorded after this because video making is obviously not a linear process because of all the B-roll and stuff in between here, and I like going with these videos just off the cuff, and it means that I don't know what that Java model looked like until I watch the video too, so I'll leave a comment down below about how interesting that model is. Speaking of things that are interesting, hoglins are scared of wart fungus and a flower pot on the Java edition, but they are not on Bedrock. So here is a hoglin, and look at how he's gonna wreck me, even though I've got this lovely wart fungus, because I'm playing Bedrock. If I'm playing Java, he's fine, he's scared, and I don't even die, which is honestly a pretty big sales pitch. Actually, so what we have to do is we have to grab it out ourselves, and then place it down on the ground, and then, oh god, he's a zoglin now! Oh god. Oh. Did you know that you could name tag armor stands Dinnerbone or Grum and they'd go upside down? I totally didn't until just now. I'm also realizing that I need armor, based on that Zoglin experience. So let's put some of that on right now. Okay, 30-second weird change between Bedrock and Java is that if you place snow layers onto plants, they'll look like this on the Bedrock edition. Try the same on Java, it doesn't work at all. There is no equivalent image to show you because snow logging is exclusive to Bedrock for some reason. It exists with flowers as well. It's very strange. You know what else is strange? The Java edition can allow you to extinguish lit candles with splash water bottles. So, as you can see, we've got this potion.prefix.grenade water bottle. I don't know why it's called that. As you can see, boom, it's not extinguishing in the slightest. In fact, if I do it from way above just to show you that it's not my aim that is at fault here, you can see the candles will not go out, despite being covered in water, but if you play Java, they totally will. I think that's pretty cool. You know what else is pretty cool? The fact that on Bedrock, you can ring a bell with any projectile. You know what any projectile means? Yeah! And you know what happens on Java with that same thing? It doesn't. Why do splash water bottles ring bells on Bedrock but don't put out candles? And why do they put out candles but they don't ring bells? It's strange, inconsistent behavior that just makes you wonder which is the intended thing. Is it meant to do both? Is it meant to do neither? Who knows for sure? All I know is that the 35th parity difference is that on Bedrock you can craft a cobweb into 9 string. Did you know you can do that? I bet you didn't, but now you do. Here is my cobweb, here is my 9 string. What happens on Java? Oh, you can't craft with cobweb, you idiot. Speaking of things you can't do on Java, the F3 debug screen only exists on the Java edition based platform, whereas you need to have the developer edition for Bedrock. There is a special version of Minecraft Bedrock that has all of those features enabled, whereas Java allows you to see all of those features regardless of whether you're a developer or not. Is that better or worse for the game as a whole? There is an interesting debate actually, because again, giving those pro level tools allows people to do things they probably shouldn't as players, but I mean, as a game developer, who are you to tell your players what you shouldn't do? I mean, if you're on Bedrock, you're actually in a good position of authority, apparently, because they've decided no debug screen. Also, on Bedrock, shifting coral fans on waterlogged blocks doesn't keep them alive. It does for a normal coral block as seen here. On Java, it keeps the fans alive. So, as you can see, if we take a coral fan... Do we have a coral fan? Okay, we don't have a coral fan. But as you can see, this is a coral on top of a waterlogged block, so it's technically touching water, but it doesn't work with coral fans, which immediately die the second you place them. Which is very interesting, the way that works. It used to take a few seconds, but I guess that's changed. Speaking of things that have changed, music discs can be inserted into the hopper via a jukebox. as you can see right here. And also, once the song is done playing, it'll go into a hopper. This doesn't happen on Java, which means you cannot make a mixtape on the Java edition, but you can on the Bedrock, which is interesting, in my opinion, that you can play, say, Cat followed by 13, followed by whatever song this is, and you can play Pigstep, followed by Pigstep, followed by Pigstep. You can pick your own playlist on Bedrock, but you can't on Java. Why is that the case? Isn't Java meant to be the one with the better redstone? Isn't that why people play this edition? Speaking of editions, here is a weird one. On the Java edition, if you make an explosion, every single block destroyed by that explosion will drop as a tile entity. You'll get every single block you destroyed back. However, we do the same on Bedrock, and despite blowing up, what was that, like 27 blocks or something? If we check around right here, you'll see that we only got 11 dirt blocks back. The actual ratio is meant to be about 33%, so we expected to get about 9 back, so that's pretty good, but still, it's very strange. Oh, we got 12 blocks of 25, so we almost got 50% exactly. It's very strange that it works significantly less well on Bedrock, and again, it's one of those things that genuinely makes speedrunning harder on the Bedrock edition. Another thing that is harder on the Bedrock edition is the fact that frostwalking will give you a square rather than a circle. Here is Actually, I feel like the square is actually bigger than the circle. You know what's harder on Java Edition than it is on Bedrock? Walking with Frostwalker. On the Bedrock Edition, you can stand in one place, and as long as you keep standing there, you'll have... Okay, no we won't. Then you get this whole square around you, whereas on Java, it is a circle. Why is it a different shape? I've yet to work that one out. And I've also yet to work out why you can color water in the cauldrons for Bedrock. You can actually do this with as many dyes as you want to make 17 million color combinations. Look at how it's very slightly different every single time I add dye in there. Whereas when you play the Java edition, you cannot. I think this sign is accidentally broken. And that just seems very strange to me because dyeing water has next to no value. But based on, my favorite build is the Toy Cat. Cat that was made from these cauldrons. But yeah, I love seeing the level of depth and detail you can make with cauldron art on Bedrock. There's just a type of art that doesn't exist on Java. Also, one scaffolding smelts 6 items on the Bedrock edition. So here is a let's look over here. Here is some scaffolding and potatoes because I want cooked potatoes, and all I have is scaffolding. Every single scaffold will cook me 6 potatoes. On the Java edition, however, you get just 2 potatoes cooked, which means that scaffolding is less burnable on Java. Is that intentional? Is that what we want? I don't know, but it's true. Also, on the Bedrock edition, sugarcane can be bone mealed, but it can't be on Java. This is, again, another one that I was sure they fixed, but again, I'm trusting Prowl here that they haven't, because for some reason, on Bedrock, you just have the right to sugarcane up and then over and over again grow your stuff, but on Java you can't. And again, this seems like a Java inconsistency, not a Bedrock inconsistency. Why can you bone meal almost every crop on Java except sugarcane, which as we all know is the one true crop? I'm so looking forward to 1.18 so I can make a sky height to new Bedrock layer sugarcane farm. It's going to be a lot of fun. Speaking of things that are going to be a lot of fun, did you know that the 44th parity difference is that you can attach leads to wall on Bedrock Edition you can't do on Java, which means this cow is tied up against his will, which in my opinion is great fun. Speaking of things that are great fun, the 45th change is on Bedrock, you can re-dye wool, Java cannot re-dye wool. So let's say we have some black wool, but we also have some white dye. We can combine those two things together and we can make some white wool, which is wonderful. Then we can make that white wool into black wool, again if we want to, and then we can combine it with like green and we can make some green wool. And like as you can see from all these crafting recipes right here, you can re-dye wool any color you like as many times as you like. On Java, it's not possible. Speaking of things that aren't possible on Java, when you open the book, it looks like this over there, but on Bedrock, it looks like this, which means you can see twice as much book information. Why is it so different? I mean, again, this seems like Bedrock has just got it clearly right. When you read a book, you don't read it one page at a time. You open 2 pages and then you read the left half and the right half. And given that the screen is always wide, I mean, you're not playing on a vertical phone, most of the time at least, it just seems like a weird mistake. Just like this next weird mistake, which is that boats can be leashed on the Bedrock Edition. I don't think this is a mistake because I've used it for such great effect in my Minecraft world, but I think it's such a cool little version change. It stops me from getting away if I want to, which I think is a lot of fun, and yeah, you just can't do it on the Java Edition, which is just very strange. It means getting like mobs around. Let's say you wanted to get villagers to the end, just hypothetically, right, it would be very hard on Java. But conversely, boats are worse on Bedrock solely because the crafting recipe looks like this. If you want to make them on Java, how do you make it? You make your lovely little boat pattern. What happens if we do that exact same thing on Bedrock? Oh, nothing. Why does it not work? Am I doing something wrong? No, what I have to do is I have to craft a wooden shovel. By the way, the very crafting system itself is different. And then, as you can see right here, I use 5 planks and that wooden shovel, and that's how I make a boat. That means that you actually need 6 wood plus 2 sticks to make a boat on the Bedrock Edition, as opposed to just requiring 5 wood planks on the Java Edition. Is it a game? Is it life-changing? No. But it seems inconsistent that after all these years, they just kind of left it. Speaking of things they left, when you're flying around on Bedrock, you can deactivate your Elytra at any point in time if you want to, whereas on Java, you cannot. So it's using the jump key. As you can see, I'm flying, and then I stop. And this is so cool for being able to stop on a dime. I'm not showing it off very well right now because I don't have any fireworks. Wait, you're not? This is a creative world, I can change that. Okay, so let's say you're really high up in the sky and you want to land on something very specific. Let's say this town hall right here. If you're playing Java, you have to kind of like angle down, angle up, and then hope that you land there perfectly. If you're playing Bedrock on the other hand, and you don't mind taking damage, or you just want to get there as fast as you can, what you can do instead is you can just kind of drop yourself, and then you can make sure that you land there just before it happens. This is obviously a damaging strategy if you do it at such high speeds, but even if you're just trying to land on something specific and it's just being very hard, you don't have to manage your speed and go up and down and all over the place. What is this up here? Let's say you want to land in this lovely little glass cage that exists above nothing. Then as you can see, this... Oh god, never mind. Anyway, it's a lot easier to land on things. It's a lot easier to go close to the ground and then just kind of like let go at the last second, and then as you can see, basically no damage. It's very, very cool. It's very useful, and in my opinion, it's just a lot of control. Also, you can use it to kind of like immediately lose some height and then use that height to get more Elytra, rather than having to wait, because again, if you're naturally flying up and flying down, it takes a while for your Elytra to, you know, the full damage to kick in. But if you're flying up and then you let go of the Elytra, you start falling immediately. There are so many benefits to this one. Could make a whole video about it. And actually, you know, something I've been considering doing is making a video and just playing the Java edition and letting you know about every single parity difference I notice as I play the game. I wanted to do this for a while because a lot of Java players don't even realize that Bedrock is so different to Java, but there are so many changes you notice when playing, again, Java to Bedrock, you might not notice the differences, besides things like not stopping on a dime, but Bedrock to Java, you notice so many, and I've considered talking about all of those, like the 50th change here. You can naturally find fallen trees on Bedrock. These don't generate on Java. This is what a full... Wait, is this a fallen tree? Is this a fallen tree? Is all of this in the middle of fallen tree? I don't know. But if we go into the forest right here and we look at this naturally generated bedrock terrain that has moss on it now, maybe a bad example, you can find trees on their side. I'll show one on screen right now. Play Java, and what does that tree on the side looks like? Well, it spawns upright because there's no such thing as fallen trees. This is a multi-year-old feature now. It's been around since 2015, 2014 for Bedrock Edition, and it just has never come to Java. And if they don't want it on Java, why haven't they removed it from Bedrock? And the answer is that even though Minecraft wants parity between versions, it's actually a very, very, very hard thing to come to, because how do you decide which of these is correct? Which crafting recipe is the correct one? Should boats be leadable or not? What about books and quill? What about dyeing wool? What about, for example, bone mealing sugarcane? All of these different things do have genuine questions about which is the correct way to do things, and that's because they're developed by different teams with different priorities. But if they're very serious about making parity, they do need to sit down at a table with every single one of these 1,200 changes, or at least these 50, and they need to question, which is the one we want? Do we want dancing armor stands? I mean, of course we do. But they have to work out how to implement them all, and the truth is that's going to take some time, and while they're working on new caves, or new ends, or new dimensions, it's very hard to do that. And so as a result, we get a world where Minecraft claims it's exactly the same on 2 different platforms, but it's actually an incredibly different experience. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you found it to be an experience. If you did, remember to check out Prowl at the link down below as a thank you for putting this together for me. I think it might be... I think talking about all the differences is so fun, and I'd love to spend a whole day just talking about all 1,200 sometime, because there are so many differences. They're huge, they're everywhere, and yeah, let me know if you want to see a video of me just playing Java and spotting all the weird differences, because I think that's fun, but I also think you're fun, and that's why now I'm done, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.